All right, welcome back, everyone. Ready for another deep dive?
Always. What are we digging into today?
Well, with all the AI stuff exploding lately, I thought it'd be good to, take a closer look at the ethics side of things.
Yeah, good point. It's kind of moving so fast that it's easy to get caught up in the wow factor and forget about the bigger picture.
Exactly. So we're going to be looking at this article by 𝗬𝗏. He's pretty well known in the AI ethics world. The article's called "How to Drive AI Progress Without Sacrificing Ethics."
Catchy title. So are we going to figure out if we're all doomed or is there hope for humanity?
Well, let's see what 𝗬𝗏 has to say. I think this is relevant to, honestly, everyone, not just the tech folks. AI is creeping into, every corner of our lives.
True, true. All right, I'm ready to dive in. Lay it on me. What's the starting point?
Well, he kicks off talking about this recent Paris AI summit. I don't know if you caught that. A bunch of world leaders basically saying, hey, we got to speed up AI development, but also, hold on, let's make sure we're not screwing things up ethically.
Right, so full speed ahead, but with the brakes on. Sounds tricky. Weren't France and the EU kind of leading the charge on that ethical AI front?
Yeah, they were pretty vocal about it, which is, I guess, what 𝗬𝗏's getting at. How do leaders, or even just companies and developers, walk that line?
Yeah, I mean, how do you say innovate, 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 but also prevent some, I don't know, dystopian nightmare scenarios?
Right. He specifically mentions things like deep fakes, which are already causing chaos, and biased algorithms, the kind that could lead to discrimination.
Yeah, those are some heavy-duty ethical dilemmas. So how does he propose we navigate this mess?
Well, he's got these 5 key takeaways. I don't want to just list them off, but maybe we can kind of riff on them.
Hit me with them. Let's see what we got.
Okay, so the first one is encourage innovation, safeguard ethics, which I guess is the overarching theme, right? We can't just slam on the brakes out of fear, but we also can't just blindly charge ahead.
Makes sense. It's all about balance. So what's next on the list?
This one's about policies. He says, lead with balanced policies, basically arguing that regulations should build trust in AI, not stifle its progress.
Ah, so smart regulations, not just knee-jerk reactions.
Yeah, exactly. How do we encourage development, but also, prevent someone from building a killer robot army?
I mean, killer robots aside, that's the million-dollar question. So what's takeaway number 3?
Prevent harm without stifling growth. I thought this one was interesting. He uses the example of cybersecurity in AI development.
Ah, so building those safeguards into the system from the start, not just adding them as an afterthought.
Exactly. It's like if you're designing a car, you wouldn't wait till it's rolling off the assembly line to be like, oh crap, we forgot the brakes.
Huh. That's a pretty vivid image. Yeah, I get it. Building security into the foundation, not just slapping it on later. Makes sense. What's next?
All right, this one's about data. Surprise, surprise. Strengthen data privacy laws because, AI is basically a data-hungry monster.
Right? Gobbling up all our personal info, browsing history, location data, the whole shebang. It's scary how much these systems know about us.
Yeah, and laws are, laws move at the speed of a glacier while AI is moving at warp speed.
Exactly. So what does he suggest? How do we close that gap?
Well, he points to things like GDPR in Europe as an example. Stricter rules about how companies can collect and use data.
Right. GDPR, that's the big one. Even here in the US, companies are scrambling to comply with that. But yeah, the laws need to be agile, able to adapt to how quickly AI is changing. What's the final takeaway?
The last one is act before threats emerge, which kind of sums up the whole proactive approach.
Right, not just waiting for the AI apocalypse to hit before we start freaking out. So what kind of proactive stuff are we talking about?
He talks about identifying and mitigating things like algorithmic bias, before it leads to real-world discrimination.
Yeah, algorithmic bias, that's a big one. I mean, if we're not careful, AI could just amplify all the existing inequalities in society.
Exactly. And this is why this whole ethics thing matters to everyone, even if you're not coding the next big AI.
Right, because we're all using AI in some way, whether we realize it or not. It's in our phones, our social media feeds, it's everywhere.
Yeah, and it's making decisions that affect our lives. Think about it. AI is being used in healthcare, finance, even the criminal justice system.
Whoa, yeah, that's pretty heavy stuff. It's we're handing over so much power to these algorithms.
Makes you wonder, how do we ensure that power is used ethically?
Tough question. But I think 𝗬𝗏 is getting at something important here. He basically asks, are the projects you're working on, whatever they may be, aligned with ethical AI principles?
Yeah, he really drives that point home, right? Are you respecting user privacy? Are you considering the potential consequences?
It's a good gut check. It's easy to get caught up in the excitement of AI and forget about the human element.
Totally. It's a reminder that, we all have a role to play in shaping the future of AI. We're not just passive bystanders.
Right, we're actively contributing to the data that trains these systems. So, yeah, the choices we make today, they really matter.
It's both kind of exciting and terrifying, right? Like we're on the verge of something huge when we got to be careful.
Totally agree. It's a balancing act, for sure.
This makes me think about something that goes a bit beyond the article. If AI keeps learning from our data, will it ever be able to truly overcome, like, our human limitations?
Oh, that's interesting. You mean like, can we code fairness into the algorithms even though, the world is kind of messy and biased to begin with?
Yeah, exactly. Can we build AI that's better than us, or will it always just reflect our flaws?
Whoa, that's a deep one. I don't know the answer, but it's definitely something to ponder.
Definitely. Well, I think that's a good place to wrap up our deep dive for today, folks.
Yeah, lots to chew on. Thanks for taking us down the AI ethics rabbit hole.
Always a pleasure. Until next time, keep exploring.